Right. So this is actually going to be my third time doing this. I created 2 videos already and they were super long because I tried to go through and write everything as I was doing the video, but I think I'm starting to recognize that I just need to present what I already accomplished. So we're going to do it that way. I've already done everything in the assignment, so I'm just going to kind of present. I wrote some of the code back in just to kind of show you some of the things I did do and write. So hopefully this would kind of work out. Just to kind of reiterate what I said in the last videos, I'm sorry about the last scenario assignment. I didn't have the correct document, or I didn't have my Gmail like attached to my BYUI, so I wasn't able to like connect to that document until I realized what I was doing, and I wasn't paying attention enough to like get into that fully, so I ended up just watching the video and making a scenario off of that. So I'm really sorry about that. Hopefully this one, this one's making a little more sense. I should be able to just kind of go through, show you what I was able to accomplish. But all right, so presenting this like I was to company owner. So first off, what I want to explain, is window authentication versus SQL server. So just to understand something, when it comes to our server right here, it is located physically on our device right here, this MSI, this computer. It is something that I am able to create local users, which are MySQL server users that are going to be localized only to the system. A Windows authentication or Windows user is going to be based off of the Windows itself, like Microsoft and the Microsoft accounts. So in that instance, it's you're going to go through their authentication process to kind of verify what authentication versus what authentication means is basically a way of identifying a user and making sure that they actually can log in or access. The next kind of step in that is to kind of explain that when it comes to authentication and authorization, these are very different things. Authentication is what gets me to be noticed of who I am. I authenticate someone that this is indeed, such and such, Debbie Smith or Alan Jace, whoever it is, I authenticated. From there, then we're able to determine what their authorization is. And these are done through roles, schemas, all these different things that we use the grant command to give to them authorization to do. So in this instance, authorization is the ability to access and do things inside the server. Think of it as a building, right? Building is the server. We authenticate that it's a real person, that this person is who they are. They come into the building, but there's still a bunch of other rooms that are locked. And depending on what their authorization level is, they can get into those different rooms. And these rooms include writing, reading, selecting information, using different commands in the query selector in order to actually make them be able to do stuff in the server itself. So if we go over here, we can quickly verify that when it comes to my server and the way this one is set up right now in security, we are using SQL Server and Windows authentication mode. If I were to switch to Windows, it would only allow Microsoft users that have been registered on the server will be able to actually access it and have the ability to authenticate themselves or enter the building, in this instance. This is good in doing this in a lot of ways because Microsoft has been around a lot longer than we have. It's just they have a lot more, better authenticating techniques, what we call authenticating factors. So, when it comes to an authenticating factor, that would be your password or username. They have double authentication, better encryption methods, all this stuff. In general, using that is not a bad idea. Makes it so you don't have to make the certain, user and password every time, control their password, all that stuff. They just have the account, you just add the account and then give them their authorization level. So going in, creating 2 new schemas. I've already created 2 new schemas for the separate databases of bowling league and entertainment agency. So what you do in order to do that is what you're going to go into our security here, and you're going to go into schemas, and we are going to click new schema. If we look at the script of how that's going to work, type whatever the name is, new item we are able to view how that works. It's just we grab the bowling league, create schema, and this is the name and which it would be. A schema basically is an organization method for tables. You can give different access levels to these schemas, as well as making it so that when it comes to user, you can specify what they are able to access. So in this instance, what we did is after creating it, we took and altered the schema from what they originally were. So we altered tournament, and we transferred tournaments table into that schema. And then we did the same thing with a couple more items. And once again, we then replaced, all this. We can go non-tournament. We did the same thing and replace this with tournament, with non-tournament. And we added a bunch of table items to the non-tournament schema, as we can see and verify right in here. So we have 4 items in the non-tournament and 2 in the tournament. This creates a little bit more of an organization there for that. If we go into entertainment, we also see that we did the same thing here. We created 2 new schemas here in security. We created agents and customers. This is just allowing us to be able to have people, and then we added the tables, agents and customers to those schemas, which we can verify right here, customers, agents, Booyah, all done. After which we then created 4 of our new users, which were Bowling Tom. If we go into our database, actually, let's just go ahead and go into security. Right here, we can view it all. We have Bowling Tom, Bowling Jake, and we have Entertain Jill and Enter Brock. After which we then granted we granted them special privileges under those schemas, so that they were only able to access those schemas. And if we go in here, we've already logged into Bowling Tom right here. We can validate that their access or authorization is only able to go into the bowling league. If I try to go somewhere else, they'll say, oh no, we can't do that. So this is one pretty big way of restricting access to employees, makes it so people are not accessing stuff they shouldn't, and it just helps keep things under lockdown a little more secure, right? So if we look, he has only been granted to the non-tournament, so he doesn't even have access to all of the tables, just the non-tournament, which is the schema or the organization we set up. We did the same thing with Entertain Sarah. Entertain, to our other users right here. We got Enter Brock and Enter Jill and Bowling Tom, Bowling Jake. We gave them each individually a schema that they were able to view and select, and that's about it. Nothing else to that. So if we go down further here, we can kind of look at how granting works. Obviously, I've kind of already shown here. A grant statement works like this. You grant the privilege to, and this is just added information. Don't typically need that but we can grant connect abilities to Bowling Jake, and they can add on in this database, blah, 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 such and such. Allows us to access, give more specifics in that. This is a slow way of doing it. Obviously, we don't want to do this every time. So what we do instead is we actually create roles. Roles are significantly more quicker, I guess you could say. And let's say we have new users are coming right in. We created a basic access role here, right? Which we can do that by simply server role, create new server role. We can give them whatever they want or whatever we want to give them. So endpoint, maybe we just want them to connect, or we don't even want to go that far as endpoint. We just want server access, and we only want them to be able to connect to the server. So we do that, right? If we look at this in script, it says use the master file or the master server, create server role, which is, probably name that differently. And we grant the connect. We could add tons more grants here if we want. We could copy paste and say And we could add grant view, view SQL. We could do a lot of things here, just list it all. But for the case, once that role is then created, we then have all of it set up right here, where immediately when we create a new user, which we have done here with new Sarah and new John, right? We sit there and we want to create a new login. Instead of going through the process, somebody, instead of going through the process of individually granting them access or authorization, we instead are just going to add them to this role. And we just go over here and we say, hey, basic. Then you press, look at this in script form. Sorry, password was not right. Password. Go into script form right here, right? We create new user and we alter server role basics and add a member to that role, which is new somebody, blah, 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 right? Boom. So in all of this, we are able to kind of secure ourselves, right? We are able to limit access. We're able to make quicker access, points, schemas, adding this organization to our tables, which allow us to specify what tables, so we don't have to sit there and say, hey, Bowler John can only, or Bowler Tom can only access this table and individually write every single one. We just literally add it in and say, boom, do this, right? We add roles in order to specify these are static roles where they stay the same, right? We don't alter them. We literally just add people to them. If we need to, I honestly just don't recommend changing any grant. We don't grant any users any new authorizations unless it's temporary and just for a few minutes. Let's say we do need one of the users to do something. That's where we can just come in here, quickly write a grant connect or grant grant whatever the authorization we need, get that done really quick and just be done, right? So this is kind of how we were able to secure the company and keep things access to a minimal, making things a little bit more organized, and also making it so information and sensitive information is not able to just be messed around with. Because in that case, you might have people who really could do some serious damage. So, again, let's just take a look here at our different users, right? And, we look at their properties a little bit, we're able to see their roles. This one, we did not do the access, basic access. We instead makes it so that they are only specified under the bowling league, and we made sure that their securables were only to connect. Yeah, only to connect to that, which, at any time we have the ability to change that. Securables, by the way, funny way of just our authorizations basically, and we have the ability to go into all the different specific points, endpoints being the full access. Yeah, so hopefully this helps you understand a little bit more of some of the things that we want to be able to take into account here, and how we can better keep ourselves safe and quickly add good authorization points, which are roles, that makes things faster and easier. So, all right, thanks. Hopefully that helps, and we'll see you next time.